I've now proven that dead water actually loses its magnetic levitation. I'll show you examples of that in this presentation. So many cultures consider flowing water a fundamental element and expression of their ancestral body purification rites. So the flowing water and certain springs were considered healing waters, and this gave rise to the term sacred water or holy water. Water is undoubtedly essential for survival. I mean, you think of all the things that you do with water during the day. You drink it, you cook with it, you shower in it, you water your garden with it. There are so many things that we rely on water for, but many of you would not be thinking that the charge is the critical thing for the cell. So if you study water at a university, they'll tell you that water is just hydrogen and oxygen, and it's an inert solid. And that's it. Nothing more. And this is really unfortunate that we're graduating students believing that's all it is. Nothing more than that. So there's a few challenges given to me. So first was Professor Korokoff. I met him in the UK and also met him at the conference about 3 weeks ago in Lisbon. He told me that, and he explained in his presentation at this meeting in 2008, that when you die, it takes 60 hours for your energy to leave your body. And so I asked him, I said, well, what happens to water, vegetables and fruit? He just said, well, you go away and find out for yourself, and I did. I'll explain later. Then I met a group of water scientists in Vienna in 2010. As I was leaving, and fortunately my wife was there with me to hear them say this, they said the holy grail of water was to put a permanent negative charge into still water, and that I should try not to manipulate or force with mechanisms water into a vortex, because they said water knows what to do. Don't try and tell water what to do, it knows what to do. And they were talking about the consciousness of water. And it's just that water needs some help with energy to get itself back to its most natural state. Anyway, I mastered these challenges with some technology in 2012. So over a couple of years, I was producing prototypes until I worked out how to do it. So let me just talk about bulk water in nature. So there's been a lot of work, particularly by Professor Pollack, on the structure of water around your cell. We now know that the water around your cell has a negative charge, and he calls it exclusion zone. So your cell can determine what comes into the cell and what goes out of the cell. He calls that exclusion zone. I actually discovered that condition exists in bulk water, and in any pristine water system, that exclusion zone exists. And I presented those results to Professor Pollack at a conference in San Diego in April this year, and he was quite astounded. and he actually agreed that I had created exclusion zone water. So there are a number of sacred waters, and you'll find those around the world, and they're often high in magnesium bicarbonate. And I've actually got one of these on my property. It's quite amazing. It comes out of the ground with a negative charge on it, and it's blue in colour, and I'll show you later. So specifically, water, H2O, in nature, in a pristine or wild state, that's unhindered or unchanged by man, it's in a structured or a hexagonal crystalline structure and has a negative charge. So also you can take destructured water, that is the water that comes out of your tap, urban water, and you can convert it back into a structured form. And I know there are people in this room who have my devices on their house to do that, yes. But you can also do it with bottled water. You can put these onto your swimming pool or dams or whatever. There's, size doesn't really matter in this case. So structured water in any form carries the breath of the earth, and it's the living crystal and superconductor of sound and light. So water can receive frequency, sound and light frequency. And there are experimental work's been done now, particularly by Veda Austin in New Zealand, that demonstrate that. A pristine water system will look something like this. And this is a video I took of a pristine stream in New Zealand. So this is the water that your ancestors drank. They lived by the banks of these rivers, and I do have some ancestral DNA in my body from my Maori ancestry, and that's why I go there. But most of those 100 billion homins that lived on this planet drank this water. It's only more recent time that we're drinking the destructured form of it. But that water has a millivolt value somewhere between negative 50 millivolts and negative 150 millivolts.